TGIF, my AKA Padders. Here we go. A Hard Place 2025. Available right now on digital. Let me just give you the pitch. If you guys are into a simple plan, Bill Paxton, quick change, I'm giving you like the elevator pitch. I have a affinity for films that spiral. They spiral to a point, meaning including the plot. Like the plot at the top of the spiral is big, and then it gets withered down to a solid point. And there's no other genre to explore this plot effect than the heist movie that goes wrong and you're stuck somewhere and everything's hostile around you. There's what's that Emilio Estevez movie? I always forget the name of it. I'll look it up. I'll play the intro. I'll look it up real quick. But we have a independent movie that spins everything I just told you with a unique voice, a very cool concept. And here we go. Ready? This is a movie that's a ton of fun. It's a fun movie to watch. And I don't know if we can say that much about anymore, because even these big budget movies, like, you know, I know we have Superman and Fantastic Four and like another Jurassic Park coming, but those movies are shredded online. They're almost like pre-criticized before you get to see them, and you sit down and you have these preconceived notions, and it's hard to see the movie for what it is and enjoy it. This is the pure bliss of independent filmmaking right now. It bypasses all of that. We can sit down and just watch a movie and be blown away. And it's really hard to do that with, and even like AK Padders, even with like, you know, if you want to consider Neon and A24 independent channel, like independent film channels. But so many of those films come pre-hyped. There's a level of anticipation that it's hard to escape when you're a regular film goer. But on Fridays, I try and bring you independent movies that are truly independent. Meaning, if you do a search, if you just Google it or whatever, if you Bing it, if you guys still use Bing out there, you don't get much. You don't get many reviews. You don't get this. Now, this might be heartbreaking to some of the people involved with this, and I get that. But to me, we're all sacrificing for this experience. They're sacrificing time, money, and the production, and the blood, sweat, and tears, and decades of institutional knowledge that they're rolling into the production. I'm sacrificing everything tooth and nail to bring you guys the greatest film podcast of all time, and the best one going today. I don't know who's more dedicated to the film going experience than myself, but even I'm sacrificing. And with all of this, we get shining lights, and I feel like that's what this movie is. So I'm sorry for the long intro. Let's roll right through it. I'll be right back.
Quiet on the set.
Camera speed.
Sound production. Take one.
Action.
Alright, so Emilio Estevez. if you guys were already trying to think of that movie, it's called Judgment Night. Now, here's the thing, aka Powders. There's a little bit of a Mandela effect, and it might be the only one I have when it comes to film. There's a movie called Trespass, 1992. And the following year, a movie called Judgment Day, 1993, comes out. There are a lot of people, including myself, because I had to look both of them up. And one of them is directed by the absolute great Walter Hill, with Bob Gale, Robert Zemeckis at script. Trespass, Bill Paxton. Judgment Night, Emilio Estevez, Cuba Gooding Jr., Dennis Leary, Stephen Dorff, Jeremy Piven. This is Judgment Night's the one that I'm thinking of, where there are just a bunch of dudes with an RV, they take a wrong turn, and then the plot begins. This movie is very much the same. But it's hard to even compare. Like, you know, like I told you guys, I like these spiral movies where like it's like the plot spirals to a singular point, but then the stakes get higher and higher and more dangerous. So it's almost like you have these like two separate parallels, and I think it's fantastic. It's a fantastic way to introduce the audience to big concepts and big ideas if you have them, and that's exactly what this is. I had a revelation while watching this film, but let me just give you a little bit of the plot, and we'll get there. This is a heist movie. It's a heist gone wrong. There's money in the bag, essentially. Everything from that night spirals. From that point on, our group of criminals, they end up in a farm. They end up in a field. And we have our backwoods folks. Now, does this sound familiar? Yes. We've seen this a million times. But then we learn. And here's where like, I was not expecting this. And I love this pivot. It becomes an ancient war where we have two forces. And I may have to rewatch the movie to and I do apologize for not fully memorizing a lot of these points that I'd like to bring up to you guys. But it's a war between what seems like Gaia, the Earth Mother, and another entity. And I think one represents light and one represents dark. And at the end of this, we have like one person standing to get the bag, which we saw coming. Anyone that's seen more than 5 movies ever. What we have, though, is just one that comes from like an artistry or like craftsmanship, not so much artistry. We have a high concept horror movie. So this movie goes from, and I'm just trying to avoid a Dusk Till Dawn or a Sinners reference. I really am. But we have a wintry reindeer game looking. It's winter, it's snowy, it's dark out, limited lighting, crime movie. And then the dark hues turn into light. They turn into yellows and orange and light browns. And we're in fields. And we have our back up against the wall because we're held up. We're slowly learning about this feud. We're slowly learning about some of the power sets and some of the creatures and what some of the things that we've been seeing, what exactly they are. And along the way, we build our group. This is how we tell a story. So we build our group. We have, 10, 12 people. There's always a point in these movies where when we get the lineup, it's like, oh wow, like there's gonna be a lot of death. You just say that to yourself. You're like, wow, there's 12 people to die, and maybe that's when you check the timestamp of the movie. And you're like, oh my god, and then we have an hour. Holy crap, we have an hour to kill 12 people, and you bring out your fingers and you start counting your hand, and you're like, that's maybe like 1 or 2 people every 12 minutes. Okay, like let's go. That's the fun of films like this. So from like a film going experience, I view that a lot of times when you're explicit with what's happening and you're not trying to hide too much, because I feel like the beginning of this movie has one of the most fantastic gotchas I've seen in a very, very long time. But films are interactive when we do have formula and tropes. I always make the argument, film tropes are good. They help the audience. They tell me where I'm at. They tell me what to expect. But then we get this fantastic gotcha. And I remember, I think it was Toy Story 2. there's like a Buzz Lightyear gotcha where we think we're watching a Bud Light adventure, but in effect, the kid is playing like a Buzz Lightyear video game. So the camera like pulls away, and we see that the kid's at the controls. There's a lot of movies that open like that. They open with a very clear gotcha. So this movie begins, and number one, it's a clear Predators reference, the Robert Rodriguez movie, which I again love that movie. I am pretty sure. I think we've done that on this show. I think we've done all the Predators, so feel free to check those out. And I think I'm watching this zombie movie where a bunch of individuals were dropped off. They were dropped off. They wake up and they're being attacked by zombies. And I'm watching this and I'm like, wow. I'm like, we're really like James is Mr. Horton over here. He is like, we're all go no quit and it's all gas. And it feels a little bit choppy. Feels a little bit, like there's some of the line delivery, some of these other things. The previous movie I've done from James is a movie called Craving, not Craven, and that's how I found that movie. But, we get that, though. See, we get a line delivery that is echoed in a lot of movies of this type. And it's very hard to pinpoint where it comes from, how to fix it, how to move forward from it. Is it the actors not being experienced? Is it the director letting them? And these are, I think, Mr. Horton would agree with me on some of these points. But I feel like that's another episode because I took notes this time about some of the line delivery, and there's correlations that I want to make that connect what the actors do and how well they're received 10 years down the road. Because there's a lot of movies that I grew up around that were hailed for their dialogue and quippiness and quick humor, and they don't resonate today. So there's other larger points when it comes to the actual delivery. I mean, recently I just watched Presence by Steven Soderbergh, someone who I top 3 filmmaker alive today, and the father in that, my fiance, she's not involved with any of this stuff. She just says, whatever's on TV, she'll just watch for. And she more than once said, like, what like, this guy just sucks. And even later, like within the next day, she's just, I was asking her what she liked about the movie, and she's like, the father, the husband, just like it was crazy. And it's funny how like that stood out to her, and we're talking a Steven Soderbergh movie here. So again, like we want to pull in not just how like a film buff sees a movie. A lot of times I feel like my job is to you focus group it, like you talk to multiple people. The problem with a lot of these independent movies is there's not like a range. There's no one, literally no one in any of my DMs, maybe outside of James, Mr. Horton out there, that I can discuss this movie with. So that position fades, right? So I don't want to talk, but I feel like I did approach a larger conversation. But the movie begins with this zombie sequence, right? And I'm just like, whoa. And it's got cool gore, the type of lighting I love. And it has the girl. Here we go. It has Bai Ling, the girl from The Crow, like the creepy, I don't know, like threesome, incestual shaman. She's almost like a witch in the 94 Crow, and you guys know the 94 Crow is just one of my all-time favorites. So I'm watching her, and I'm like, oh my god, okay, like, and I guess she's going to be the focus, because, right, like, she's really not on the poster or the thumbnail of the movie. And I'm like, okay, cool, like, they're subverting expectations. And then they further subvert expectations when I see Stephen Morris, like sitting in the car. And he's AKA Patters. If there's someone that's just multi-dimensional, just as a guy on set that you can put in front and in back of the camera, the type of talent that Stephen Morris is true. Like, it's a true filmmaking talent, because he can exist inside, outside, through the membrane of the movie. So he brings the movie, just through his delivery, back to center. But then, like, again, we spiral down. There's a crime. There's a bag. We end up in a farm. There's this ancient earthly feud. And then the other point that I know, I just know, and it's almost like, so here's a little bit of my positioning at times, is to explain what I see in a feature that I know low-level critics are going to approach, because it's predictable. We're only human, and dare I say, I'm subhuman, because I feel like I can look down on this stuff. I can witness it unfolding before it does. We're going to get comments about the creatures in this movie. We're going to the earthly Gaia killing mother plant woman, the queen. We're going to get comments on her. Is the design inspired? Yes. Does it swing for the fences? Yes. Is it perfectly executed? No. What are the factors of that? I was never on set. I can't make excuses for it. But here's what I can do. In my mind, I can watch it, and I can know what something's supposed to be. See, everything that's in front of our face when it comes to how we publish it, let's just say publishing, like finishing it, whatever, right? It's how we want to see it. We can nitpick it and pretend it takes us out of the movie. Or we can do what I even recently did with Snow White, because everyone going crazy over Snow White a couple months ago, where I can sit down and watch Snow White, and I watch it with a fresh set of eyes. It's as if I'm watching Snow White for the first time, going back to the 40s. I can do that with King Kong. I did that for a stretch of Godzilla movies, when Godzilla Kong, the second or third, the New Empire. When that came out, I went down like this Godzilla deep dive. Never recorded any episodes on that. Watching the original Godzilla as if I've never seen something like that before. Because if I went into Godzilla or King Kong, Dragon Slayer from the 80s, good reference too, my nitpicking brain will tear it apart. There's things I will see that aren't real, and I'll just sit down and say, this is crap. I don't like this. Doesn't deserve my time. But see, with King Kong, you can't do that, because it's a landmark masterpiece. You can't do that with Jason and the Argonauts, and you can't say that the skeletons move fake and they look fake. You can't say that, because you're going to seem uneducated. When it comes to films like this, you have to give the storyteller the absolute benefit of the doubt and be a good audience member, and let your imagination run when you see anything. You have to allow these people their story, and you have to respect their resources, and that's it. I think this movie, holy crap, I'm already on for 20 minutes. So, this filmmaker, James, he's only on my radar because I mistakenly found one of his previous movie, Craving, because I was looking for Craven, the the superhero movie. Craving, I came in a little bit heavy on because of the delivery. Here's the amazing thing. He owned up to it. He really did. But I feel like, and that movie was 2 years ago. I feel like in this movie, right now, a lot of that changed. And I feel like we have 2 repeating actors that he used. I don't know. I dig the positioning for this movie. I dig the concept. I do feel it wedges a lot of inspiration into it. He's got an upcoming movie called the Apex Predators Club that he's already talking about online. And he's doing something that I wish more filmmakers would do. He's showing you inspiration for the movie and telling you about it as it goes on. Fantastic stuff. James, if you're ever out there, Mr. Horton, I just like your last name. It's just like Horton. Yeah, good job, dude. You got I don't want to say a fan, but you got like a film buff out of me. I want to go back and see what else we can talk about from you for sure, because like it's important. I just feel like there's not a good avenue for films like this. What we'll get is like a YouTube channel that does horror. They do all, and they roll movies like this in, and they kind of group horror together in like a clump, and you're supposed to love it all. That's weird. Like they're like a horror file or something, right? Like a cinephile, but they're just horror movies. For here though, like for everything we do here with the film buff, it's the tapestry, it's the veil of filmmaking, and the way how I read these films, and that's what separates the film buff from everything out there. I put A Hard Place right next to A Simple Plan, or right next to Judgment Night, and there's different curves of execution and resources and intent, and that's it. Not all movies should ever be looked at the same way. It just, I don't understand how we got there, because like even back in the day, you would get like like Film Gore magazine or whatever, and Film Gore magazine would praise what Roger and Ebert would trash. We're done with that. Like what, and I think Mr. Horton here with 2 movies, with Craving and Hard Place, I think he's helping me understand what that bridge is, and dare I say we're breaking ground. All right, AKAPADers, it's Friday. Gino's Steaks here in Philly, they've rebranded to Steakwans. Steakwans from Saquon Barkley to celebrate his Madden cover. So I think I'm doing that tonight. I think I'm going to get some Steakwon steaks on Friday. Love you guys. Rock and roll.
Okay, that's a wrap.